Here with Rayell Wallace, the head field hockey coach at Shippensburg University. We're going to be talking about, obviously, she's the new head coach, the head field hockey coach at Shippensburg. So we'll talk about that and just her upcoming season. So, Coach, thanks for your time and how are you doing today?
Doing great. Busy as usual, but good.
Yeah, just tell me you're the new field hockey coach at Shippensburg. Just how has your summer been and what are some of the things you've been doing, to get ready for your upcoming season and just some of the non-field hockey things you've been doing?
hmm So I was hired like in the middle of May, so it was a lot there's been a lot of madness a little bit in the summer. I have now a 10-month-old baby, so we have two dogs, baby, and my husband. We've moved back to the area. I'm originally from Hamburg, which is like an hour and a half from here, 2 hours. So we've found a house,
Mhm.
hopefully. And with Shippensburg, it has been busy because we've had two overnight camps,
Okay.
which has been great. So we've had a lot of student athletes on campus. Through that too, I've been able to meet my student athletes as well. I've met most of them by now, which is great. Um, but now with the overnight cancel camps over, now I'm really like in season mode and planning preseason and season and all of that stuff.
Yeah, so two things that I thought about that you just talked about. My first question will be just what has it been like already to meet some of your student athletes and to host camp? How has that been for you?
It's been great. It's been great to see my student athletes coaching camp because I can really see what their personalities are like. I've been able to meet them, of course, optionally. They've met with me over Zoom or in person, which has been great. So, really creating that student athlete coach relationship has been important over the summer, and hopefully we can really hit the ground running in the fall and have a base to our relationship. Um, but yeah, the summer camps have been great. It's been
Yeah,
hot, but they've been good.
yeah, definitely been hot. So my second question, you mentioned, you have a 10-month-old baby. You've been, accepted a new position. You just got started in May. You're just getting situated at Shippensburg. So what it's been like, being busy with all these various different things, both family-wise and, getting started with your new position at Shippensburg.
Um, it's been fun. It's been a lot, but it's been fun. Colin and I, my husband and I, have a great support system here, with his parents and my parents, helping us with watching baby and everything. So, um, it's been hectic, but also we've received a lot of support during that. And the athletic administration here too has been very supportive through it as well. It's a lot moving a baby and dogs and a whole family unit from one place to the other. But it's been good.
Yeah. Before we get started, can you tell me a little about Shippensburg? I know that your school is a Division II school in the
hmm
Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. You're obviously in Pennsylvania. You're
hmm
from Pennsylvania, which we'll talk about, but just tell me a little about your university.
So, Shippensburg is located west of Harrisburg by, I'd say 45 minutes to an hour west of Harrisburg. It's a good sized campus. It's not too small. It's not big by any means. There's a good number of majors here, so anybody who comes in undeclared, it's a great school to come to. Um, it's very strong, definitely in their education system. They actually have a daycare, elementary school, um, yeah, on campus. So anybody that's in the education department kind of works with them, which is kind of a highlight that they have. We have great resources in the athletic department, especially like field hockey has really good resources in their strength and conditioning coach. Um, we have a someone that's called FAM, so the faculty athletic mentor, and she's very, very involved in our team. So that's another resource that we have. We also have Chris. He works with our athletes with like the mental side of things. So he'll meet with the athletes. Other resources that we have, which is really special, is there's actually a student athlete academic center on campus where it's a space in the library just for student athletes. So we have Trajan in there that will be working with our team with meeting with freshmen, meeting with anybody that needs to talk about grades or what they want to really pursue um, after college. But that's where they do their study hall. So it's a space where student athletes can go get work done, but also meet other student athletes and be supported in that aspect. That is very, very special for us here, especially being a Division 2 school. It's not a resource that many Division 2 schools have.
Yeah, it's great that, especially at the Division 2 level, that your university has so many resources available. So that's great.
Yeah.
So you were named the head field hockey coach at Shippensburg in May. So what did it mean to you to, be named the head field hockey coach in May at Shippensburg? And this program last year made it to the semifinals of the
Mhm.
NCAA tournament. So, what did it mean to be named the head field hockey coach in May? And what excites you most about taking over this program? Obviously, they made it to the semifinals last year and did very well last year. So what excites you just about taking over this program?
Um, One, I'm very excited, right? Again, there's a couple of things that drew me to this university. One is definitely the resources that the student athletes have. They're supported really in all aspects of what they need, right? They have our faculty athletic mentor who's really involved. They have Chris for the mental health side of things. Tanya's great, their athletic trainer, and then they have the academic piece where Trajan and that athletic or the athlete like academic center is. So they have all of those, and then strength and conditioning too. So the resources were here, um, and they are here to be successful. So that really excites me. The tradition that they have, like the championship tradition that they have, is really, really exciting to me as well. The location is great, not only for recruiting for field hockey specifically, but also for my family as well.
Yeah.
So my in-laws are who are staying with right now are 45 minutes from Shippensburg, and then my parents are, like I said, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours from here. So we moved much closer to home. Started at Miami of Ohio, moved to Slippery Rock, and now we're much closer to home. With that too, the athletic department really has a family feel to it, and um, there's been multiple times already that I've seen kids around, like coaches' kids are involved as well, which is really important to me because I kind of grew up with that. My sister and I kind of grew up with that.
Yeah, so you talked a lot about, there's lots of resources and lots of support, at Shippensburg. And I've talked with coaches, on the flip side where they've even had their programs, cut at certain universities and schools. So just
Mhm.
at, Shippensburg, you only been there for, a short while now, but just what's it like, having, lots of resources available to you and your players and just a lot of support from, the athletic staff.
The support is great, right? I wouldn't say, right, that we have the most money, because
Yeah,
usually when people think of resources, they're like, oh, you have so much money. No. But the people that we have to support the program is a lot.
yeah.
And it's very, very important that student athletes have that and have those resources, and me as a coach have those resources because, for example, Chris, who he's a counselor on campus, so he can help in that aspect where I'm not a professional in.
Okay.
Right? Trajan can help academically because I'm not a professional in that area. But we have so many people that can work together and really help the student athletes and develop them, not only on the field in the weight room, but really get them ready for their next step in life, honestly.
Yeah, so you've just been talking about it, but I guess we'll get into it. Can you tell me a little bit about your staff? You talked about, Trey Song, you have Patrick, your equipment manager, and the others. So can you just tell me a little bit about some of the staff that you have, particularly for this upcoming 2025 season?
Yeah, so Pat, like you said, equipment manager. We have Tanya, who's our athletic trainer.
Mhm.
We have Chris who counselor, but he can work with like sports performance, like I said, the mental health uh side of things. We have Trajan who works with academics and even
Your assistant coach of Katie Lamando, is that
Katie.
correct?
Yep,
Yeah.
Katie. So she was a part-time, now she's our full-time assistant. We're still in the process of hiring a part-time assistant.
Okay.
We will have some either student managers or volunteers still ironing those details out. Who else do we have? Oh, Coach K, Dennis, he is the strength and conditioning, head strength and conditioning coach here.
Yeah.
That's a very important piece that we have.
Not to
And
single out anyone, but I wanted to ask you about Katie's background because last year she helped guide SU to being number one
then
in the regular season, and she guided SU to winning the PSAC title. So, just what do you like about, obviously she was a part-time, now she's a full-time assistant coach for you. So, just what do you like about some of her background and the fact that she helped SU win the PSAC title last year?
so I've known because Katie was coaching at Mercyhurst. So when they were in our conference, right? Now they're in Division One, but I've known her since then. So that's when I met her when she was at Mercyhurst. Um so then here, of course, we've uh really her background in being here
Yeah,
is really, really great. The relationship that she has with the players is great. She did a great job in the transition of Tara, the previous coach, and Mooney too, transitioning from them leaving to then me being hired. That was a good chunk of time, and she did a really, really good job in not only taking classes as a grad student, but being a part-time coach and kind of taking over a lot of head coaching roles in that, right?
yeah,
So she definitely proved that she has really what's needed for this program.
yeah. Yeah, I think her background will definitely be very good for you.
Mhm.
She played. She was goalie at Stonehill and was
Yep.
part of the coaching staff of the year. So I think that's great. You'll have her as assistant coach. I wanted to talk about, Coach. You come from another PSAC school in
Mhm.
Slippery Rock. So tell me about your time there, what you learned from that experience. Being a coach at Slippery Rock and the transition since you were at another PSAC school. How do you think the transition will be for you? Given that you already coached in this conference at Slippery Rock.
Mhm. I was hired during COVID, which was a wild time to be hired.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe I learned more than I thought I was going to learn. Because going through a time like that, being hired and having all different kinds of changes happening with you're going to have a season, then it went to you're only going to have a conference season and then no season at all. So I learned a lot through trying to manage a team in that type of environment, but also trying to recruit in that type of environment was very difficult. So there's different things I learned through that. And also that was my first experience as a head coach. So learned through COVID for sure, but then on top of that, I was a first time head coach. So it
Mhm.
was a lot, a lot of things that I learned through that. But being in the same conference is good, I would say,
Yeah.
because I know all the opponents.
Mhm.
I've the last 5 years I've been, well, four, I guess you would say. We've been playing against the same opponents. So I definitely have I've been familiar with the conference for a while, which will help me for sure this fall.
Yeah. Then my last question about the conference. Can you just tell me about the PSAC, the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference? And you mentioned your familiarity with that. So yeah, can you just tell me about your conference, some of the teams, and just what you like about the PSAC?
The PSAC is very, very competitive.
Mhm.
Very, very. Okay. If you look really in I don't know how many past years, the champion in Division Two has a lot of it has been from our conference, right? The Final Four, if you look at I don't know how many years back you want to look, but it's majority of schools in our conference. So there's no easy game in our conference, which I love. It's very exciting and it's challenging, which is something I love about the conference. You have, it's mostly Pennsylvania schools where you have Westchester, Millersville, Bloomsburg, ESU, Slippery Rock, Mansfield, Kutztown's in there. And then you have Frostburg, which is in Maryland, so they're in our conference for field hockey. So all of the teams that are in our conference are very, very
Yeah,
challenging.
that's great. So coach, what do you look forward to most? Your season's going to begin on September 6th. You'll play against Belmont Abbey in your first game. So what do you look forward to most with your upcoming season beginning on September 6th?
I'm excited for our first practice.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm so excited for our first practice. When I was hired in May, all I wanted to do was get on the field the next day. I think it's the easiest way to create relationships with your players is to be on the field and, be in that environment. But I'm excited, really. I'm excited for the season, of course, but really for the first practice. I'm super excited to do an inter squad scrimmage, just to watch them play and to coach them.
Yeah. So you just mentioned some of it, but I've been asking some coaches about this. You're basically a month away from your season beginning in September. So
Mhm.
given you're basically a month away from your season beginning, what are some things you do as coach and your staff do to prepare for the upcoming season? And what are some things that your players do to prepare for the upcoming season in September?
Well, they better be doing their fitness packet. They better be lifting, running, and playing. And then also, excuse me, getting mentally ready for the season because it is a lot, especially for freshmen, because they're coming to a new school, they're moving away from home, and they're right in season. So hopefully they're mentally and physically getting ready. For us, in the office, it's all about planning preseason. The practices are planned and everything, but the nitty-gritty things about planning, like your itineraries for away trips, even what topics or techniques or tactical things you want to cover in preseason, make sure that's all in before your first scrimmage. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of planning that
Yeah.
happens in the background. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Something else I wanted to touch on. It seems like a lot of your home games are special event games, like
Mhm.
first responders game, faculty and staff game,
Mhm.
Friends of Field Hockey game. Just tell me a little bit about, doing, these special event, home games, how they came about, and just what it's going to be like, hosting special event, home games.
Um, this actually came from my time at Miami. And Yako and Chip, the coaches there, they had every home game, they would have a special event of some sort. I call it a theme. I don't know what you would call it. But they would have someone then do a pass back, almost like a first pitch kind of thing. So that's what we'll do. So for example, for faculty and staff game, I'll invite a faculty or staff member to come and do the first pass back of the game. So it's kind of a way to get connected with the academic side of campus to try to create connections that way, or even in the community. For example, the first responders game will have um, maybe a police officer or a fireman or something of that sort to come and be the first pass back. So it's all about creating relationships um, out into different parts of the community or the school.
Yeah. So coach, you have my next question is about, the busyness of the season. Your season goes, September through November, and you have experience. You played at UConn, which we'll talk about, and you have experience coaching. So for you, from your experience playing and just, seeing it through your players' eyes, how do you think, how is it for your players, navigating, or how was it for you, navigating the busyness of the schedule, because then you start school, basically, August, September, and your season's, September through November. So just what is it like, balancing both, your field hockey schedule, your academics, socializing on campus, different things like practices, lifts, just how is it, navigating all that busyness, from your experience and, for your players, you've coached.
So I always say it's a 800-meter sprint. where there's no pacing. This you're sprinting for a very long time. You're trying to fit 17 or 18 games in that time frame. And we only have 1 week of preseason really until classes start. So you're fitting a lot into a little bit of time. Usually and it's normal for freshmen to be a little shell-shocked, right? Like I said before, they're moving away from home, they're starting classes, they're in a new environment, and they're in season. It's a lot for them. The development you see from a freshman to a sophomore, just in their personality, is crazy to see. Because I feel like they actually come out of their shell freshman year because they're so shell-shocked a bit. I'm sorry, they come out of their shell in sophomore year because they're so shell-shocked in their freshman year. Um, but really it's about time management, staying on top of your classes, not getting behind. Um, yeah, and planning. That's really those are the most important things that you can do during season, making sure that you're getting things done early because you're going to be busy.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
actually, I found that, especially for myself, I was this way, but I've also found it in other student athletes where it's almost easier to get your classwork done during season because you have this time crunch that you have to do it. Then after season, you feel like you have so much time, and then you kind of procrastinate a little bit.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, planning and time management are definitely very important for student athletes. So, one more thing about the upcoming season I wanted to touch on.
Mhm.
So, Coach, can you just tell me, how does your team, think look going into the upcoming season? Just tell me about, in terms of your roster, how do you think your roster looks, and the schedule that you guys that your team will play this season?
It'll definitely be a difficult schedule. We're playing some what I presume will be ranked teams twice. Um, so that'll be exciting. Our roster will probably be 22, with two goalies, so it'll be a smaller roster, but definitely an efficient roster. We'll be looking to get to 27 next year. Um, other than that, we'll be looking good,
Yeah, that's
ready
great.
to go.
Yeah, so your season, the next question I wanted to ask, and then we'll get into some of your background in field hockey and coaching, but I was interested in learning because I asked some coaches this. Your field hockey schedule is obviously in the fall, September through November. So, what are some of the things that you, as coach, and some of your players do that you've coached, do like during the winter and the spring, particularly the winter? Like, what are some of the things your team does? Because I'm sure in Pennsylvania you have a lot of snow on the ground, so you can't get outside
Yeah.
practice. So, just tell me about some of the things your team does when you're not in season, like in the winter and in the spring, just to stay sharp and get ready for your season that is in the fall.
So in during the winter after fall finals, they'll get a winter packet for lifting, conditioning, some prehab stuff, recovery stuff. So they'll have the whole conditioning packet until they return in the spring. In the spring, we'll probably start inside. There's a indoor space. I should say indoor space. It's a gym, like an old gym that we can play indoor on, which will be a lot of fun. So with indoor, we'll be able to really work on our basic skills, tightening up our stick work a bit. And then eventually we'll move outside, and probably the weather will dictate when that happens. Um, but yeah, still lifting, conditioning in the spring
Yeah,
too.
that's great. So taking over Shippensburg, obviously you're in Pennsylvania and you're from Pennsylvania yourself.
Mhm.
So just tell me a little bit about your background. Tell me about growing up in Pennsylvania and just how you got started playing field hockey.
How I got started.
Yeah.
My my mom was a high school field hockey and track and field coach for like 20 some years. So like I said earlier, I grew up going to practices on the sideline, actually playing in the jump pit at track practices. So my sister and I really were around the sport a lot growing up. I guess that's how we got into that. Um, started playing, really had a stick in my hand pretty young. And then, of course, like playing in an organized fashion, starting in middle school through high school and then into college. I will say I was a multi-sport athlete, which I think is very important to be. I ran track and I also swam in the winter and the summer. I think it's important to be a multi-sport athlete because you use different muscles, you think differently. Even though swimming is totally different from field hockey, I could take things from swimming and use them in field hockey and vice versa. Um, and then yeah, I graduated, went to UConn for 4 years.
Mhm.
I then coached at Lafayette College for a semester, went over to England to play, and then I was on the US team, actually when I was stationed in the Nook, um, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I was there for like 2.5 years. And
Okay.
then that's when I started coaching at Miami of Ohio. So I was
Yeah.
at Miami for 5 years and then Slippery Rock for 5 years.
Yeah. So you played at UConn collegiately. Just what drew you to UConn? How was it, getting to play Division I field hockey?
I would say in my recruiting process, I was looking at the top 25 schools. So I would keep kind of that list in mind. And through like the size of the school, where the location of the school was, I started to narrow down my list. My list was actually down to UConn and UMass. And then I
Okay.
took visits at both of the schools, and I chose UConn. I liked their campus. I liked how big it was, actually. Um, I liked the team, the environment of it, the blue collarness of UConn, and yeah.
Yes, you always kind of knew because you had UMass and Connecticut. You always knew that you kind of wanted to stay somewhere, close to Pennsylvania where you grew up.
Yeah, I wanted to be far enough where my parents could come for a weekend and come for a game, but not too close where they could show up for dinner.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
yeah, so UConn, I mean, depending when you drive though, with traffic, can be like a 4.5 hour drive, which was perfect for me.
Yeah. So overall, last thing about UConn, you were a three-time All Big East performer. You were part of three Big East championships, and you
Mhm.
made four NCAA tournament appearances. So
Mhm.
just, finally, just these accolades, what was it like, winning some conference championships, making the NCAA tournament? Um, how was that? And just overall, how was your time at UConn?
I loved my time at UConn. I loved the school, I loved the team, I loved the um support staff that was there. Um, Especially our strength and conditioning coach and our trainers were great. Athletic trainers were great. I learned a lot from the coaches, all three of them. Um, it gave me the opportunity to be pushed, and to develop as a player, but as a person as well. Winning those championships was very exciting.
Mhm.
It's something that you definitely work hard to do. So then when your hard work pays off, it's very, very rewarding. Um, but it was a lot of hard work and I had to get there for
Yeah.
sure.
Something interesting that you mentioned, you were a member of the U.S. national team for a few years from 2013 to 15. You mentioned playing in England. So just tell me, how did you end up on the U.S. national team? What was it like, being on the U.S. national team, and what was it like also getting to play in England?
Um, it was cool. It was I had been, to different countries before that, but being able to like live over there was definitely a different experience. Playing on the national team was very challenging for sure, right? It's kind of like you're in preseason all year round.
Okay.
That's kind of how I describe it because you're lifting at least 3 times a week. You're active with the team 5 or 6 days a week. And in those days, you're lifting 3 times a week. We did yoga one of the days, which yoga might sometimes sound nice and relaxing. It was not. It was hard.
Yeah.
Um, some of the days were you had 2 practices a day. You were also doing conditioning. So it was mentally and physically very challenging, um, but rewarding at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. So, Coach, you've coached at several different schools. You spent 1 year as an assistant at Lafayette in
Mhm.
2012, 6 years as an assistant coach at Miami of Ohio, and then
Mhm.
5 years at Slippery Rock as the head coach. So, just what drew you? You played on the U.S. national team as we mentioned. What drew you after that to become a college coach? I know that you spent 1 year as an assistant. prior to the U.S. national team at Lafayette. But what drew you to become a college coach, and just how were your experiences? Like, what have you learned throughout your various experiences at Lafayette, Miami, and Slippery Rock?
Um, well, the reason I started to coach at Lafayette was I knew I wanted to keep playing. So in the US, in order to keep playing, you kind of have to be a college coach or you have to be a volunteer of some sort so that you're around the game and you can play. So that led me into, I wouldn't say it led me into coaching. It kind of gave me a taste of what it is, you know? And then when I was on the US team, I actually worked at a physical therapy clinic in the Nook. And originally, when I graduated college, I was like, oh, I want to be a physical therapist. So I worked in a physical therapy clinic and realized it's not for me, which was great.
Yeah,
So um, then I guess I developed the idea of, hey, why not give coaching a try and see if I really do. I mean, Lafayette was great, gave me a taste, but let's actually do it for a career.
yeah,
Um, and Nyako giving me the opportunity at Miami was really, really great. I learned a ton of stuff there. Um, was given the freedom to learn a lot, and to give input on things. And that really, really helped my coaching development.
yeah. Definitely, it seems like it's all worked out. So that's great.
Mhm.
Coach, thanks for your time. I'll end on this question as I usually do, with all coaches. So just tell me, what do you enjoy most about getting to coach, college field hockey, and what do you look forward to the most with this opportunity at Shippensburg?
I like coaching because I should say I love coaching because I like to see the development of players, not only on the field, but also as people. So I think it's great. It's an awesome profession because you get to um, really teach them things through the sport that you're coaching.
Yeah,
And I think that is my favorite thing about coaching.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I'll say it again. I'm looking forward to the first practice.
that's great.
I'm excited to see them on the field and be able to interact with them on the field.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.